Hello, welcome to Prana Yoga Online. My name is Isabelle, and today I am thrilled to share an introduction to the practice of Katonah Yoga with you. So what the heck is Katonah Yoga? Well, first of all, the name Katonah, the word Katonah, is actually the name of a place in New York State. It's the name of a town. And in my understanding, it's from the Native American language of the peoples that lived there before Anglo-Saxon and other immigrants arrived. So it's the name of a place. And secondly, or maybe firstly, it's the name of a brilliant synthesis of Hatha Yoga practices developed over 45 years by a woman named Nevine Michaan. And through those 45 years, she has drawn from a number of different rivers, including Taoism, sacred geometry, traditional Chinese medicine, as well as the Hatha practice that so many of us know and love with its roots in India. But I'm going to share with you a little bit of what's shared on her website, katonahyoga.com, because she very clearly or articulately shares three major principles of the Katonah Yoga practice. And then we'll go a little deeper into those principles. So, Katonah Yoga is organized around three principles of esoteric dialogue, so interior exploration. The first, all polarities are mediated by trinity. All polarities are mediated by trinity is a very beautiful way of saying that there are pairs of opposites everywhere in our natural world. And you are the one that mediates those opposites. There's an up and a down. There's a left and a right. There's a male and a female. There's a night and a day. There's a cold and a hot. There's a front and a back, a past and a future. And all of these polarities, although they appear to be two different things, are actually two ends of a single spectrum. So there's like a unity in that spectrum. And ideally, you're in the middle and you're mediating those polarities. So you're in a continuous state of ideally balance, finding balance, cultivating balance, nourishing balance, and also able to span the full spectrum of all those apparent opposites. So all polarities are mediated by trinity. The second, the universe has pattern, and pattern implies intelligence. So, as I just said, there are patterns. Night and day is a pattern. Spring, summer, fall, winter is a pattern. Birth and death is a pattern. Age is a pattern. Health and illness are a pattern. So pattern belies intelligence. And although in our maybe jaded modern mindset, we could see pattern as inducing of boredom, the reality is when you are fresh and new within the pattern and you're applying your intelligence to the pattern, pattern yields the opportunity for insight. It yields the opportunity for illumination. It yields the opportunity for more and more depth. This is why time is a continuous mercy, because every new day, every new moment is a new opportunity to see newly. And we can utilize the gift of this inherent patterned nature in life, in the universe, to renew and refresh and see. And with new information, we can choose differently, maybe in a way that's wiser and kinder, not just for our own personal experience, but for the wider context in which we live. So the universe has pattern. Pattern belies intelligence or implies intelligence. And then I just naturally flowed into the third principle, which is by virtue of repetition, there is potential for insight. But consider that implicit in that statement is your repetition is awake and fresh and intelligent, not lulled into a habitual kind of sleepy mode just by virtue of the repetition. So with good technique and with a fresh perspective and a good attitude, your pattern can expose new information. Okay, so those are the three principles of esoteric dialogue within the Katonah practice. And this might be feeling like, oh, so interesting. What the heck does it mean? How does it apply to our asana practice or our pranayama practice? And hopefully through this series, you'll get a direct experience of that. I'm going to go through another few key components and also differences that separate this practice from many other practices that you might know and love. And just know that there is so much good technique and good information out there. This isn't to contradict or confuse. It's to enrich and broaden and enliven your own perspective and experience. Okay, so as with all Hatha Yoga practices, Katonah Yoga is a tripartite practice. It's 1/3 body, 1/3 breath, and 1/3 mind. And in Katonah Yoga, we utilize the principle of measurement. And this might be quite different for you. And at first, it was a little alienating and annoying for me. And then I recognized the goodness of it. So why would we use an external reference point to measure our postures and to create beautiful, perfect 90 degree, 60 degree, 120 degree angles? There's one reason. Well, there may be many reasons, but there's one really good reason, which is through our habitual living, we all tend to have blind spots. And we all tend to have parts of our body that we are more kind of connected to and residing in, and parts of our body where we've just kind of abdicated and left the building, and maybe not even consciously, in fact, probably not consciously. But then over time, we start to reap the fruit of that imbalance. And it means walking is strange, gait can change, posture can change. There can be joint pain, difficulties in just comfortably holding and using our form. So what's so revelatory about utilizing measurement and archetypes of postures, archetype means like the perfect embodiment of a pose, is you have something to compare your own shape to. And you're never going to be the perfect archetype, and you don't ever need to be. But by referencing the archetype, you get to see what you didn't see before, but what you've kind of been living out the fruits of. So if I use blocks to measure up a posture, and through the usage of those blocks, identify that I'm continuously hanging back in my hips rather than distributing my weight evenly into my palms and my knees, for example, in a table position, I'm going to realize that I can come forward and I can start to inhabit an even more stable framework of shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, over the support of wrist, wrist, knee, knee. That's just one simple example. But without the benefit of those external measurement tools, how would I know? So this is one way in which blind spots can be exposed. And another principle within the Katonah practice is the body kind of shows everything. We are holistic organisms. So where we've kind of gone sideways in our interior in a way that's unseen and implicit may be revealed through our explicit form and through the ways that we habitually favor this or that over a balanced position. So that's why archetypes and measurement can be so insight-provoking, and why we use them in the Katonah practice. Okay, Another wonderful principle to share with you is that you are designed to fit yourself. And this can be an incredibly comforting and soothing reality to discover through your own practice, and you'll have opportunity to do this, that your knee fits into your armpit. And when you fit your knee into your armpit in a lunge, for example, you know your knee is at a stable 90-degree angle. You know you're in the fold of your hips, and you know you've just proofed the match of the length of your torso to the length from your hip to your knee. So you are created in perfect proportion within your own body. You can use the width of 2 fists to measure hip width distance between your feet. You can use the thread of your fingers, plugging your thumbs into the gaps between your big toes and your second toes to measure the same distance, and on and on. There's ways to proof that your body is formed in kind of perfect harmony with itself. And that can be a profound and lovely discovery, full of reassurance and support. And then implicit in that, or in harmony with that, is this principle of contact, that making contact, physical and also otherwise, is of tremendous importance. In fact, we could say that all life really is an exploration of contact. Contact between you and others, contact between you and your body, contact between you and your interior, contact between you and what you relate to as truth or divine or nature or life or love. Contact is what we're here for. Levels and levels and levels of contact. So we leverage contact in the practice of Katonah Yoga. Okay, another lovely and useful idea is that asana, so using physical shapes, is like to the body what origami, the Japanese art of making amazing things from a flat sheet of paper, is to paper. So asana is origami for the body, and origami is asana for paper. What does that mean? It means that the body can be folded and unfolded. And as you fold and unfold with good technique, the creases, the joints in your body become more and more refined, more and more informed. And that means you can make amazing things with your body. You can make shapes. You can create therapeutic effects by embodying these different shapes. And you can learn from the folds in your body where you need a little more attention, or where, as I said previously, you haven't gone before, that it would be good for you to go, just so you're fully embodying your whole package. Another way of relating to this idea that asana is origami for the body is when you think about origami, you're taking a flat piece of paper, which is a beautiful thing, full of use. You can write on it, you can communicate love, you can communicate intelligence, you can keep it, you can read it again. So it is beautiful by itself and full of potential and use. But you can also fold it to create other things that were previously unconsidered when it came to paper, like a lovely crane, or a cup, or a bowl, something that could actually hold substance or liquid before it falls apart because it's paper. But the metaphor continues with the body. You can make new things. You can optimize function. You can increase function by folding and unfolding and making these new shapes. And another way to take this metaphor further is you could consider the Katonah Yoga practice as follows. The asana is you making the cup, making the origami cup. The pranayama practice is you filling the cup. Then the cup can hold beautiful quality prana, chi, energy. And then your meditation practice, your practice of absorption within, is where you have the opportunity to drink the drink that you've just put in your cup. So we fold and unfold we up the body's function by refining these folds, and we use the body to create new and therapeutic shapes. Okay. So another idea that might be useful for you to keep in mind is in the Katonah Yoga practice, rather than focusing on muscle and strength and fitness, which are lovely goals and there's nothing wrong with them, we focus on joints and organs and longevity. And that doesn't mean you won't get strong in the Katonah Yoga practice. In my experience, this practice is the most challenging I've ever learned. So it's not that you won't be working. You may be working in different ways and in some senses harder than you ever have, but the focus is different. It's to preserve the long-term health and mobility of your joints. That's where we tend to break down in our bodies as we age. So it's attention to the joints, using them, discovering the full range of motion, befriending the full range of motion, and cultivating a quality interior, ironing out the creases, so to speak, and then filling the container with quality prana. So it's a longevity practice more than fitness and strength, but you will get strong from doing the practice if you choose to continue. Okay, it's informed by principles from Taoism and from Chinese medicine. So the Taoism shows in those principles that I shared with you at the beginning about that all polarities are mediated by trinity. That's a principle from Taoism, although it could also be something that you would come to just from observing the natural world, which is what gave birth to Taoism, and the nature of pattern and the intelligence within pattern and the possibility for insight that comes from pattern or is possible with the repetition of pattern. And we talk about glands instead of chakras. Although if you prefer to talk about chakras, you can relate to the glands as directly correlate to the chakras, which they are. It's just that this practice tends to work with the more concrete physical aspects of the body and less to the unseen in that sense. But in my experience, sorry, I just moved the mic. In my experience, they really are one and the same. So don't let the glands turn you off and don't let chakras turn you off. They correlate perfectly. It's just that we speak a little bit more about glands in this practice. And then finally, well, not second to last, remember at the beginning when I mentioned it's a tripartite practice, as is all Hatha Yoga. One part breath, one part body, one part mind. But the way that we work with the mind in Katonah Yoga is a little different than you might be used to. I mean, in the Hatha Yoga practice that we prioritize at Prana, there's a lot of insight shared and philosophy and thematic exploration, giving deeper and deeper levels of experience through the physical practice, which is beautiful. And Katonah does the same, pardon, but with a slightly different mode. And it's the use of metaphor. And these might be metaphors that at first are unfamiliar in how familiar they are. For example, we might talk about the body as a house or the body as a vehicle, like a car. We might talk about counterclockwise as being the spin of baseball, as clockwise being the spin of the planet, as elbows being balls and hands being mitts that catch the balls, or as elbows being eggs and hands being egg cups that hold the eggs. So, or talking about baking. The use of metaphor is a way to engage your mind, I would say, in a joyous way, in a practical way, in a way that yields insight, in a way that's fun, in a way that doesn't let you check out. And checking out can be awesome, but it's not generally what we're doing until we're resting or moving into meditation. And even then we might not be checking out so much as checking in. But anyway, the use of metaphor is a constant thread through this practice. And I invite you to, well, you'll get to experience it and see how you feel with it. Now, that's a good segue to a critical component of metaphor in the practice, which is the use of props. We use a lot of props in Katonah, and I have found them revelatory to use. They give profound feedback to the body, and they can be a huge support in identifying those blind spots that you might not have been aware of before. So there's metaphors for each of the props in the Katonah practice. Blocks, and we tend to use a lot of wooden blocks because they are so firm and they give such clear feedback to the body. Blocks are bones, and they help you erect a framework and inform the framework. Your bones are your framework. So we relate to blocks as bones. Straps we relate to as ligaments or tendons, which means that when we're using them, you don't have to muscularly engage so much. Your body is still getting informed by the supportive placement of the straps and the containment that they provide in any given posture. But you're getting the benefit of ligaments and tendons without actually having to grip and hold. So that's another metaphor we use. The third, sandbags. Okay, I think many of you don't have sandbags at home. I only just got them myself, but they are a revelation. I would encourage you to buy some. Buy some online and fill them with whatever you've got. Rice, dried beans, sand, dirt, kitty litter that's non-toxic, gravel, whatever you got. They are amazing. And in the Katonah practice, the metaphor that they provide is that of muscle. They hold you in place, and they almost act as another person present, pressing down on your body in a way that is profoundly nurturing, profoundly calming, profoundly soothing. It's like a heavy blanket, a weighted blanket times 2 or 3, because most of those sandbags are between 8 and 10 pounds. Fantastic tool for healing, for triggering the parasympathetic nervous system. And also, similar to the blocks, kind of holding you in a stable frame without you having to work so hard. So that's the sandbag metaphor. And then the last is that of blankets. And in the Katonah practice, blankets make a throne. We use them to fold and create height. Height under your seat, height under your perineum, generally those two places, maybe cushioning for knees when the knees are high, for example, in a cobbler's pose. So they help you create a throne so that you can sit up beautifully tall, plugged in properly, and enjoying the full length of your spine unfurled. Okay, last but not least, in this practice, and I might do it a little differently, I just want you to have a sense of how it's taught by those that created it. We don't generally chant. We're not oming at the beginning or the end of class. There isn't Savasana. Instead, there's usually some form of longevity posture, like a plow or a supported child's pose, which they would call frog, or some other restorative position, but generally not just laying on the back. And not a lot of namaste. And what I've understood is not that there's nothing. It's not that there's anything wrong with those things. Certainly not. I actually love chanting. I love Savasana. I'll probably teach Savasana in these classes. It's a different formula, and it's a usage of time where, in their perspective, what I've heard is wanting to use every available minute for therapeutic postures. I would argue that Savasana is a therapeutic posture. I'm just going to leave that where it is. I just want you to know That's how it is when they teach it in its original format. But you know what? I am the mediator of this content that I've taken in, this new information, this new approach. And so you're getting the fruit of that mediation. 10 years of practice and teaching in the Akanda lineage, and now the past year jumping head and heart first into this other approach. So you'll get the Isabelle flavor, and I hope you enjoy it thoroughly. Lots of talking. Don't worry if a lot of that just went whew. You can always watch it again or never watch it again. And if I do my job properly, you'll get to experience most, if not all, of those principles directly, firsthand, in the videos that follow. I would love to hear from you. If you have questions, reflections, if you want to talk, engage about this material, I'd be thrilled. You can email the studio and they'll send it on to me, or post on our community Facebook page and tag me so I see it. I wish you joy. I wish you opening. I wish you an ever-expanding perspective so the spectrum of polarity increases while you hold it all. Namaste.